Oh, hey there. I didn't even see you guys there. I was just enjoying a little beverage here and checking out my brand new Topdon BT100W battery tester. Guess what that BT stands for? Bluetooth. Yup. We're taking battery diag into the 21st century. Let's go ahead and tear this thing apart and see what it's all about. So guys, what we have here is a fancy Bluetooth battery, charger, alternator, starter, everything little snazzy put together testing kit. My friends over at Topdon here reached out to me and said, "Hey Dan, we have this new battery tester and we would love to get your opinion on it. So could you review this and put out a video?" To which I replied, "Absolutely, man. I love anything that can make my job that little bit easier. And especially if I can get this information out to you guys so you can have a better informed decision before, if, and when you guys decide to make a purchase." So this company, Topdon, they make more along the lines of electrical diagnostic equipment. So obviously in this video particularly, we're going over battery and charging, but they make all kinds of stuff. Be sure to check out the links in the description below to see all kinds of stuff they have. So this one specifically for 12 volt for car and truck batteries, and honestly any other kind of battery you have, quad, camper, whatever. We've talked in the past about how important it is to maintain the good state of your battery. Well, this thing can actually confirm that and let you know the health of your battery for sure without doubt, so you know what's going on in your system. Let's go ahead and rip this thing apart and see what it's all about. So once we get into this thing, nice, easy to open packaging, nothing fancy. Go ahead and get rid of that. Got some paperwork that we may need to figure out the app and everything, because like I said, this is Bluetooth. Oh look, we have a QR code so we can download it from the App Store. Now, because I keep on saying this thing is Bluetooth, don't get me confused here. This thing still works perfectly on its own. You don't need an app to run this thing. The app just gives you more accessibility and gives you more information, more user interface. So this thing can be used solely on its own without an app. The app just gives you that extra little bonus. Let's go ahead and download that and see what that's all about. So we'll go ahead and take the user manual, the Topdon BT100W. Open up to the second page here. You find that QR code. And you guys all know how this works. Just take your phone, open up the camera, boom, there you have it. So now that we have the app, let's go ahead and open it and see what we got going on here. Of course, you need to agree to the terms and conditions. Bluetooth on, yep. And then these are the different specific tests that you can run via your phone here. So let's go ahead and look at the menu and see what's all available. Change your language. You can permanently bind a device with this. You can update the version, and you have a digital user manual here. So in case you lose or accidentally discard this, you have a digital form in your pocket so you know what's going on. Let's go ahead and hook this up to a battery and see what happens. Alright guys, so I have here a deep cycle 12 volt out of my camper. I just happen to have pulled out and put on the battery tender at the moment. Let's go ahead and plug this thing in. Look, immediately right off the bat, did you guys catch that? It told me the battery voltage as soon as it turned on. Check that out. 13.12 volts. Let's just do a battery test right off the bat just to see what happens here. Regular flooded. Oh, you can choose which type of battery you have, whether it's a gel cell. Regular flooded would be like a lead acid battery, which is definitely what kind this is. Alright, so now that we have the tester hooked up to the battery here, let's go ahead through the app and just perform a regular old battery test. So, you choose the battery type. This is a regular old flooded lead acid battery. You test, or you choose which thing you want to test here. And since this is a marine battery, I want to test just regular crank amps. And this battery is rated for 600 cranking amps. I know you can't see it up there, but that's what it is. So you type in what it's rated for, hit the go button. Now, you guys can see on this, it says that it's testing for 600. And did you see how seamlessly that was? Whenever this changed, my phone changed immediately. So let's go ahead through the list here and see what it tells me. 12.9 volts. However, state of the health is only 13%. That's telling me that the crank amp this battery is supplying is not to the value that I set in here. So it's telling me that this thing either needs to be replaced or healthfully recharged. So this thing needs a little bit of work before we're ready to go ahead and put it into a machine. So you can either share this with somebody. I don't know why you would want to, but you have that ability. Or you can save this test so you can go back and check it later. Let's go ahead and see what all this stuff would look like inside of an actual car so we can check charging and cranking and all that. Alright guys, so we're out here at the family truckster. Let's go ahead, slap the tester on here, and see what kind of stuff we can perform through our phone. That way, we can sit comfortably in the cab of the vehicle and do all this testing while we're in there. We're not stuck outside. So once everything's put together, it links up to the app. And let's just say, let's do a cranking test since it's not running yet. Let's go ahead and click on that. It tells you what to do. Next step, we're going to get in the car, fire this thing up, and it'll tell us what's going on. Alright, so now that we're in the cabin here, we're going to go ahead and do a cranking test simply because it's not running yet. So we'll go ahead, open the crank test. It'll go through a little bit of a menu to tell you what's going on and what to expect. So hit the next, we'll get into the test, and then it tells you exactly what to do and when to do it. So simply just follow the prompts in the app. Turn off all systems, press confirm, and then start the vehicle. Sounds easy enough. Confirm, start. Check that out. We got a full result here. I'll bring you guys in so you can see what I'm looking at on the screen. So you can see here on the screen, it gives me a line graph. It tells me where the voltage dipped to at its lowest point during the crank, which is 7.5. And then after it started and everything got going, it went back up to 12.3. So I know everything's fine. It tells me here on the app that the cranking voltage is good and everything's healthy. And here on the module here, it also tells me everything's good. So just like I said before, you don't need the app to do this. It just makes it a little more user-friendly because you can do everything from inside of the car. So let's say you're in inclement weather or whatever, you still need to get this test done. You can go ahead, hook this up, shut the hood, and sit happily in the cab and still run all these tests. Just for giggles while we're out here, let's go ahead and do a charging test and just see what that looks like. So I want to do a charging test. Let's go ahead and click on that. Same thing. It kind of tells you what's going on. Hit next. Turn off all the electronics. Hit confirm, and then start the vehicle. Sure thing. Now here you can see we're testing. Hit the go button. Oh, it actually wants us to ramp up the RPM so it can check the alternator. Let's go ahead and do that. So we'll go ahead and pick it up to 2,500 RPM just like the app says, and then keep it there. Once you get to 2,500 RPM, hit the confirm button so it knows when you're ready to test. Once it's done with that, it'll prompt you to go to the next part of the test. I just hit next, turn on the electronics, headlights, air conditioning, press confirm. it wants to see a load on the system. So we'll go ahead, turn on the headlights, turn on the AC full tilt, turn the radio on just a little bit. Hey, heated seats, why not? Let's really put a load on this thing. Hit confirm. Test is complete. Everything came out normal. You see this little graph here? It tells you where your voltage is and what happened during the test. I'll bring you in so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So not only does the module here tell me that my charging system is normal, everything's good and happy, that's good enough. But now I have all this information on my phone. It tells me that the charging voltage was 14.5. Whenever there was no load on the vehicle, 14.5 volts, and then whenever there was a load, like the headlights, the air conditioner, the heated seats and everything, the alternator was doing its job and keeping my battery voltage at 14.45. And the charging ripple, this tells me the differential in my voltages while you have a load and without a load. That tells me that while the alternator is running, I only had a 19 millivolt ripple. That means that that change in voltage was so minuscule that it really doesn't even see it. A millivolt is so much smaller than a volt that it's honestly difficult to measure. So this is telling me that it's so small that I shouldn't have an issue with anything. And with these newer cars, all these sensitive electronics, stuff like this is super important to know. And it's good to see that I have confirmation my charging system is working correctly. And one of the last things I want to show you guys on this here is a system test, which when you click on that, it basically does just all three of the things that we already did, but it does them in a row, so you don't have to go through and do them individually. It just does a battery test, a crank test, and a charging test all in a row and makes it really user-friendly. Same thing, you just hit the go button and follow the prompts. This is really user-friendly, and it's not difficult at all to go through this. So guys, I don't know about you, but I think this thing is super handy. And if you guys have been around this stuff for any amount of time, you've probably dealt with one of these giant antique things, which honestly is just a giant resistive heater, so it checks the load on a battery. But number one, look at this thing. It's the size of a tractor. And not to mention, this is a potential ignition source. So like if you have issues underneath the hood of the car or like in a tractor, in a barn or something, this thing can get red hot whenever you're running it. And it's not all that reliable because it dumps a load onto the battery. And it depends on how long you hold the test button, and then you get an analog gauge, and we've come a long way. There are better ways in this thing. Don't get me wrong, it works, but we've come a long way. I mean, case in point, you guys seen, look, we have all this awesome digital readout display here, all these fancy buttons. And did I mention this thing doesn't even take batteries because you hook it up to a battery. So you don't have to worry about this thing going dead or like rotting in the drawer of your toolbox. This thing is just good to go whenever you need it because it uses the battery that you hook it up to. So not only do you get all the cool stuff that's on the display here, but you got a supercomputer in your pocket all of the time that runs this thing. So you guys saw all the cool tests, the graphs, the gauges, the ability to email this information, to save it, to do whatever you want to do. And just knowing the health of your vehicle or your toy or whatever battery we're checking in this thing just gives you that peace of mind. So whenever you get out to camp or whatever 3 hours away from where you are, you know that your quad's going to start. You know that the fridge in your camper is going to turn on. It's just really nice to have that peace of mind and check and know the health of your battery and charging system. So if you guys are interested in this thing, go ahead, check out the link in the description to see where you can get this thing, get some more information about it, and I really think that you're going to like it and use it just like I have. So really, check out the link in the description and grab one of these things for yourself, and we will see you guys next time.